Chosen one. Listen carefully. Heaven has pressed pause on everything around you in this very moment. You are not here by coincidence. You are here because God has set you apart. You are not like the rest. You are the one who has been marked. The one who has carried the silent weight when no one else saw it. The earth has been waiting for your yes, and the angels are standing by. I need you to understand this. Your journey has not been random. Every night you cried yourself to sleep. Every rejection that cut deep into your soul. Every door that seemed to close right in front of your face. All of it has been preparation. Heaven was shaping you, chiseling you like a craftsman working on rare stone. You have felt the fire, but it was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to purify you, to burn away what could not carry the assignment on your life. Think about this. There are moments when time bends. This is one of those moments. You stand at a cliff where one more step forward could unlock everything that was promised. And one step back could keep you in the same wilderness you've been circling for years. The imagery of your life is like a locked vault. The key has always been in your hand, but fear made you hesitate. Today, God says, turn the key. The vault is not empty. It holds your calling, your crown, and the assignment written with your name. The prophet Joel declared in chapter 2, verse 28, I will pour out my spirit on all people. Your sons and daughters will prophesy. Your old men will dream dreams. Your young men will see visions. This is the hour where visions awaken in you, where the dreams you thought had died suddenly breathe again, and where your yes unlocks the flow of His Spirit upon your life. Pause and take that in. You are not empty. You are not abandoned. You are being filled with power for the very assignment that stands before you. That is why you are still here when others gave up. I remember a story of another chosen one. Long before you, she was a woman who felt invisible, overlooked by family and ignored by the crowd. She prayed in silence, thinking God did not hear. But in the waiting, heaven was orchestrating. One night, when she had almost lost hope, she felt a whisper, hold on. Days later, a door opened she never could have imagined. She stepped through and carried influence that touched thousands. Her waiting was not wasted. Neither is yours. Your life mirrors hers. You have been in that silent waiting, and you thought God had forgotten. But no, He was building capacity in you. When the door opens, you will carry more than just opportunity. You will carry authority. Understand this. Angels are leaning in now. They are like soldiers lined up, waiting for the command. But the command is not in their mouths. It is in yours. The moment you say yes, their swords ignite. Your obedience sets them in motion. Your surrender is the sound that heaven responds to. And this is where your part matters. Do not sit quietly when the heavens are roaring your name. Lift your voice in the comments. Type, I hear you, Lord, as a prophetic act. Share this message so others who are wandering in the dark can find their path. Like this word, if it stirred even a small spark inside you, because that spark is the beginning of a flame. Subscribe, not as a habit, but as a declaration that you will stay connected to the flow of anointing that God is releasing in this hour. Picture this moment like a bridge stretching over a raging river. You've stood at the edge, looking down at the chaos below, afraid to cross. But I tell you, the bridge is strong. It was built for you. Every plank, Every nail was placed by heaven itself. Your fear tells you it will break under your weight. But heaven whispers, trust it. Cross over. Oh, if you hesitate, the season passes. But if you step, the other side holds your assignment, your destiny, your crown. The question is not whether God has chosen you. The question is whether you will say, yes. I tell you again, this is not coincidence. This is not another video you stumbled on. This is heaven orchestrating. The angels are waiting. Your yes carries more weight than you realize. It shifts atmospheres. It opens gates. It rewrites legacies. So now, let your heart respond. Say yes. Even if your lips tremble, say yes. Even if your mind is full of questions, because obedience does not require clarity, it requires trust. And before we close this section, I want you to mark this moment. Type the number 999 below. Let it be your prophetic declaration that you step into divine alignment. Heaven sees it. Angels record it. And your yes will not echo in vain. You have carried more than most. The weight that has rested on your shoulders is not the kind that can be explained with simple words. People around you have seen fragments of your struggle, but they have never seen the full weight of it. They assumed you were fine because you kept walking. They assumed you were strong because you kept silent. They thought you were ordinary because you never complained. But the truth is, ordinary hearts could not have survived what you endured. The unseen battles you fought were not accidents. Every sleepless night, every tear that soaked your pillow, every unanswered question that echoed in your soul was part of the molding. Like iron placed in the furnace, you were heated again and again. Not to destroy you, but to strengthen your structure. Others broke in the same fire that you endured. Others quit when the storm rose. But you stood. Even when standing meant shaking. Think of the image of a tree growing alone on a cliffside. Winds slam against it. Storms rage over it. Lightning cracks above it. At first glance, you might think the tree is weak because it is battered. But the truth is, its roots have dug deeper than most. It has survived, not because the storm was easy, but because the roots learned where to grip the rock. That is, you rooted deep. Hidden strength, unknown to many. It is written in the second letter to Corinthians, chapter 4, verse 17. For our light and momentary troubles are achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all. Do you see what this means? The weight you carried was not the final story. Every crushing moment was not meant to bury you, but to press eternal glory into your life. The rejection you faced was not meant to diminish you. It was meant to carve away what could not walk with you into destiny. The betrayals and misunderstandings, they were pruning seasons. You did not lose friends or opportunities by mistake. Heaven was trimming your branches so you could bear fruit that lasts. Some of your hardest moments came not from enemies, but from those closest to you. Words spoken that cut deep. Silence that felt like abandonment. Yet even in that, God was shaping your heart, teaching you to hear His voice above the noise of others. When people turned away, heaven turned toward you. When people closed their doors, the Spirit whispered, I am the door, and I will open what no one can shut. End 40. I recall the journey of Joseph, sold by his brothers, betrayed, forgotten. By all human measures, his story should have ended in bitterness. Yet what others meant for evil, God transformed for good. The pit prepared him for the palace. The prison prepared him for leadership. What seemed to bury him was the soil from which his calling grew. So it is with you. Heaven never allows the chosen ones to remain untested. Gold must pass through fire. Diamonds are formed under pressure. Oil is released when olives are crushed. Glory is revealed when someone like you endures and stays faithful. Your tears have been sacred. Not one was wasted. Angels carried them as testimony before God's throne, while you thought no one saw. Heaven recorded every second. Your pain was not pointless, it was prophetic. It shaped you into one who could carry the final assignment. Imagine your life as a scroll being written in real time. Every trial inked by heaven's hand, not as punishment, but preparation. Others will one day read your story and find courage because you endured. Seeds buried in pain are about to rise in power. The ground that looked barren is about to reveal hidden roots stretching deep, waiting for the right moment to break forth. Chosen one. Understand this. Your weight has not been wasted. Like a vessel stretched to hold new wine, your soul was expanded by suffering. Now, when the outpouring comes, you will not break. Do not despise the nights that hurt you. Out of those very places will come the fragrance of your calling. Your weight is the seal that proves you have been chosen. And now, the same God who carried you through the valley is about to lift you into visibility, not so you can boast, but so you can fulfill the assignment, waiting for your yes. Your hidden season is ending. The spotlight of heaven is shifting. What once was overlooked will now be undeniable. The weight you carried in silence is about to become the testimony that shakes nations. You have felt it before, the whispers that urge you to delay. The quiet suggestion in your mind that says, "Not today, maybe later." Those whispers are not harmless. They are weapons. They are designed to rob you of the very assignment written with your name. Delay is rebellion in disguise. It does not scream loudly. It does not always come in the form of open disobedience. Often, it tiptoes in as hesitation, as endless questioning, as a heart that says, "Tomorrow," when heaven says, "Now." Awaken, chosen one. You must understand the weight of this moment. Heaven's timeline is not the world's timeline. There are doors that open only for a season. If you hesitate too long, the door closes, not because God is cruel, but because destiny requires timing. Seeds do not sprout in winter. Ships must launch with the tide. Your yes must meet heavens now. Think of the story of Elijah on Mount Carmel. The prophet stood before the people and asked a piercing question. How long will you waver between two opinions? If the Lord is God, follow him. That moment was not about debate. It was about decision. Wavering had gone on too long. Heaven demanded an answer, and the fire did not fall until the people chose. It is the same with you. As long as you remain caught between hesitation and obedience, the fire will not fall. Angels stand by with swords drawn, but they wait for your word. Delay chains them. Your yes releases them. According to what is written in James, chapter 4, verse 17, if anyone knows the good they ought to do and doesn't do it, it is sin. This is not about small mistakes. This is about destiny. Knowing and not acting is rebellion wrapped in silence. Picture a warrior on the battlefield, armor shining, sword in hand, yet standing still, refusing to move forward. The enemy does not even need to strike him down. His hesitation kills him. That is what rebellion through delay looks like. It paralyzes you until your chance passes. But there is good news. Conviction is not condemnation. If you are hearing this now, it means heaven still extends mercy. The very fact that you feel the weight of these words means the Spirit is still tugging on your heart. The door is not shut. The fire has not gone out. But it is your yes that determines whether this moment becomes breakthrough or just another missed chance. I need you to do something bold, something prophetic. Go into the comments and type these 3 words, yes without fear. Write them not as decoration, but as declaration. Every time you see your own words, you will remember this covenant moment. You are declaring before heaven, before angels, and even before the plans of darkness, that your obedience will not be silenced by trembling. Here is why it matters. Fear has been the leash around your neck, tugging you back every time you tried to step forward. When you type yes without fear, you are cutting that leash. You are saying to your destiny, I choose to obey. Even trembling, you are confessing with your mouth that courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision to move despite it. Some of you have already felt the cost of waiting too long in past seasons. Opportunities that slipped through your fingers, connections that were lost, dreams that were buried because fear kept you frozen. Do not repeat that cycle. Do not let history become prophecy. Your yes today can redeem years that were wasted. This is not about perfection. This is about surrender. God does not demand flawless performance. He asks for willing obedience. If you can give him your yes, trembling though it may be, he will transform it into strength. The smallest seed of obedience can grow into a harvest that feeds nations. Chosen one, do not underestimate the power of this moment. Your hesitation has been exposed. The rebellion of delay has been confronted, and now the decision is before you, to step into obedience or to drift back into waiting. Heaven will not force you. Angels cannot act without you. But if you rise with courage, and if you seal it with those 3 words, the chains of hesitation will break, and once broken, they will not bind you again. You will move with new boldness. You will step without second guessing. You will walk in obedience not as burden but as freedom. And when heaven sees your yes, fire will fall. The atmosphere around you will shift, and what once resisted you will give way. Your obedience will unlock paths others thought impossible. There is a sobering truth you must face. Mercy is abundant, but it is not endless. Grace has carried you through seasons you did not deserve, protecting you when you wandered, covering you when you stumbled, lifting you when you had no strength left. Yet grace is also a door. A door eventually closes. You see, there are times when heaven steps back, not in cruelty, but in justice. When a heart persists in delay and disobedience, mercy begins to withdraw its shield. This is why Scripture warns of a moment when no sacrifice for sins is left, because repeated rebellion hardens the heart until it no longer hears. The most dangerous state is not being attacked by the enemy. It is being untouched because heaven has stepped aside. Think of Pharaoh in the days of Moses. Repeatedly, God extended opportunities for his heart to soften, but each time Pharaoh chose defiance. At first, it was Pharaoh hardening his own heart. Later, the text shifts. God hardened it. This was not sudden. It was the consequence of resistance that calcified his soul. He had exhausted mercy by abusing it. Now pause. What about you? Your story is not Pharaoh's, but the principle stands. Every not yet spoken to God shapes the soil of your heart. Each time you resist, the soil hardens a little more. Seeds of obedience find it harder to take root. This is why your yes cannot be postponed indefinitely. We find in the book of Hebrews, chapter 3, verse 15, today, if you hear his voice, do not harden your hearts as you did in the rebellion. Notice the word today. It does not say tomorrow or someday, but today. Heaven speaks in the present tense. Delay is rebellion because it treats today as optional. Mercy is a teacher, not a toy. It trains you to walk rightly, but it cannot be abused without consequence. To trample on mercy is to insult the very blood that bought it. That is why the Spirit stirs you so strongly now. This moment is weighty. This word is not casual encouragement, it is divine warning. Picture a lamp filled with oil. It burns brightly at first, but if no one refills it, the flame dwindles. Eventually, smoke replaces light. The lamp does not extinguish in an instant, it fades gradually, until one day the darkness overtakes. That is the danger of presuming upon mercy. It feels like you still have time, yet the flame is almost gone. This is not to terrify you, but to awaken you. Mercy is available. Grace is extended. The flame still flickers, but this is your moment to guard it, to fan it, to treat it as holy. Do not treat the presence of God as ordinary. Do not assume you can return tomorrow with the same tenderness of heart. Consider Israel in the wilderness. They had manna. They had water from the rock. They had cloud by day and fire by night. Yet they grumbled and resisted. What should have been an 11-day journey stretched into 40 years. An entire generation did in circles, never tasting the promise, because they presumed upon mercy while despising obedience. The weight of their example hangs as a warning for you. You cannot afford to circle the same mountain again. Heaven is calling you to break the cycle. This is why you sense urgency in your spirit. Why these words cut deeper than usual. The Spirit is saying, now, mercy is not weakness. Mercy is strength restrained, patience extended, love refusing to give up. But even love has boundaries, because without boundaries, love ceases to be holy. Mercy does not excuse rebellion. It delays judgment so that obedience can still be chosen. Your life is at such a point. You are still breathing, still hearing, still capable of responding. That alone is evidence of mercy. The warning is not condemnation. It is grace giving you another chance. Do not mistake warning for rejection. It is the hand of heaven pulling you back from the cliff before you fall. And so you must decide how you will treat mercy in this hour. Will you cherish it or cheapen it? Will you allow it to soften your heart? Or will you resist until it hardens? The time has come for clarity. Not tomorrow, not someday, today. For when you honor mercy, it multiplies. When you bow to grace, it lifts you. But when you trample it, it depart. Chosen one, heaven's invitation is open before you in this very breath. Treat it as treasure. Handle it as fire. And remember, what you embrace today decides what eternity records forever. There are records in heaven that carry names, not vaga titles, not faceless numbers, names. Yours is written there, attached to a scroll that no one else can claim. Inside that scroll lies your divine assignment, your reason for being placed on this earth at this exact moment. In the courts of heaven, that scroll is not collecting dust. Angels glance at it, waiting for the sound of your yes to unseal it. God Himself authored it before you were born, and He sealed it until the day your spirit would awaken to its weight. That day is not far away, it is here. But let me tell you this, the scroll does not just reveal tasks, it reveals identity. It does not simply say what you will do, it reveals who you are becoming. Every test, every delay, every painful waiting room you've sat in was shaping the character that matches the assignment in that scroll. Heaven does not waste pain. Heaven uses it to carve identity. We are reminded in the book of Revelation, chapter 3, verse 8, Z. I have placed before you an open door that no one can shut. That door is your assignment. No man, no demon, no circumstance has the power to lock it. Only your obedience can turn the handle and step through. Think of the scroll as a letter sealed with golden wax. It is placed in your hands, but it remains unopened until you press the seal with your yes. That one decision, quiet, trembling, yet powerful, breaks the wax, and suddenly light bursts forth, words of destiny shining like fire on the page. This is what heaven is waiting for. Now, I must pause to speak from the heart. If this word has been stirring you, if you feel the fire of recognition, then you already know. This is not entertainment. This is holy ground, and because it is holy, I want to gently invite you to partner with what God is doing here. Think of this channel, this message, as a lamp. Right now, it burns with oil. But oil is never endless unless it is refilled. If you have been blessed, if these words have spoken life into your wilderness, then consider helping to pour oil back into the lamp. That might be through a like, which pushes the light further into dark corners. It might be through a share, which places the flame in another person's hands. It might be through subscribing, which is like saying, I will keep returning to this fire. And for those who feel stirred, donating is another way, like placing a fresh log on the fire so it can keep burning through the night. It is not about the amount, but about the heart. Every gift is like a drop of oil that keeps the flame alive. So the light continues, guiding those still wandering in darkness. But listen carefully, this is never demanded. It is never forced. Oil given with joy burns brighter than oil given with pressure. If you choose, it becomes a beautiful offering, not to me, but to God's work through this message. Think of it as quietly helping keep the lighthouse shining for souls who haven't found the shore yet. And if you never give, you are still fully welcome here, because the Word of God is free and will remain free. So take this moment as you will, like if you felt light pierce your darkness. Share if you believe someone else needs this word as much as you did. Subscribe if you know you want to stay near the flame as it grows. And donate only if your heart is moved not out of duty, but out of delight. Because at the end of it all, your scroll, your assignment, your yes, that is what truly matters. Money fades. Platforms rise and fall. But the record of obedience is eternal. The real offering heaven desires is your surrendered heart. Everything else, your clicks, your gifts, Your support is simply overflow from that yes. Chosen one. The scroll is in your hands. The wax is waiting to break. And the world is waiting for the light of your assignment to shine. When that light breaks forth, it will not only guide your steps, but also ignite courage in others. Your yes has a ripple effect, like a stone cast into still water. Its impact will reach far beyond what you see. Families will be restored. Hidden gifts will awaken. And those who watched you endure will find strength to rise themselves. This is the power of obedience. The moment of surrender is always the moment when heaven draws closest. There is a sacred pause right before obedience. A hush that settles, as if all of creation is leaning in to see what you will choose. You may not feel it with your natural senses, but in the spirit, the atmosphere shifts when a chosen one begins to bow their will. Right now, angels are not distant. They are not busy elsewhere. They are standing by wings ready, eyes fixed, awaiting the sound of your yes. Do you understand the weight of that? Every hesitation you conquer, every excuse you silence, every fear you lay down places a trumpet in their hands. At the sound of your surrender, they move. Your final yes matters because it is not simply about you. Obedience is never isolated. When you say yes, you open doors for others. When you say yes, you break generational cycles. When you say yes, you invite the Spirit to breathe life into places that looked hopeless. Your obedience is like striking a match in a dark cavern. Suddenly, light spreads in every direction, exposing paths for others to follow. It was proclaimed in the second letter to Timothy, chapter 1, verse 7, "For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and of a sound mind." Fear has been whispering at your ears for too long, but that whisper is not truth. Truth says, you are not fragile, you are armed with love. Truth says, you are not lost, you are steady. Truth says you are not weak, you carry power. Think of your life as a locked gate. Behind it is a field of harvest, relationships restored, callings awakened, promises fulfilled. The angels are like guardians, standing by the gate, ready to swing it open. But they wait for one thing, your yes, spoken from the depth of your heart. Your yes is the key. Without it, the gate remains closed. Not because God withholds them, but because He honors the authority He gave you. There is a story of a man who delayed his assignment for years. He felt the call, but feared the wait. Each time the Spirit whispered, he chose silence. His life was not destroyed. He went on working, living, moving, but inside, something hollow grew. Joy slipped away. Peace felt fragile. Until one day, in a quiet moment, he fell to his knees and whispered, "Yes, Lord, whatever it costs." That whisper shook the very ground of his life. The hollowness broke, joy returned, and his obedience ignited a fire that touched hundreds. His yes became their awakening. That same fire is within your reach. Do not underestimate what one act of surrender can unleash. Do not believe the lie that you are too small, too late, too weak. Heaven does not see you through the lens of your failures. Heaven sees you through the lens of your assignment. And right now, that assignment is calling louder than ever before. Picture yourself standing on the edge of a battlefield. Angels form ranks beside you, armored and radiant. waiting for your command. They are not casual. They are not uncertain. They are prepared, but their movement hinges on your obedience. This is why the Spirit presses you so urgently. You are not just making a personal choice, you are activating an army. And so, I ask you to do something more than listen. Mark this moment with a prophetic act. Go to the comments and type this number, 4,444. Do not see it as digits. See it as declaration. 4 is the number of stability, of foundation, of structure. When you write 4,444, you are declaring that your yes becomes the foundation upon which God will build the next chapter of your life. Why does this matter? Because what you declare outwardly strengthens what you have decided inwardly. The enemy thrives in silence. But when you mark your surrender publicly, even in a simple number, you anchor your decision in reality. You are telling heaven, I am here. I am ready. I will not waver. Some will hesitate, thinking, typing a number is too small. Yet, it is the small acts of obedience that often carry the greatest weight. Remember the widow with a jar of oil. She thought it was too little, but in God's hands, it multiplied beyond her imagination. So, it will be with your act of obedience now. Do not miss the beauty of this invitation. Angels are leaning in. The Spirit is speaking. Heaven is recording. Your yes today is not background noise. It is a sound that shifts eternity. Chosen one. Surrender is not loss, it is gain. Saying yes does not strip you, it crowns you. When you bow your will, you rise in strength. When you whisper, yes, the roar of heaven answers back. And when you type 4,444, you join the chorus of chosen ones across the earth who are rising in this hour, sealing their obedience with faith. There are moments in life where the weight of decision cannot be ignored. You are standing in one now, at a crossroads, where both paths demand something from you. One road looks familiar. It feels safe because it does not challenge you. But it leads back into circles. You've walked before places where comfort masks captivity. The other road feels uncertain. It stretches out into the unknown, with no guarantees except the whisper of God's presence. That road is harder, but it leads to life. Every chosen one has their crossroads. Abraham stood at one when God asked him to leave his homeland without knowing where he was going. Ruth faced hers when she chose to leave everything familiar behind and follow Naomi into a land she did not know. Jesus himself entered one in Gethsemane, sweating drops of blood as he whispered, "Not my will, but yours be done." These crossroads are holy places, not because they are comfortable, but because they demand surrender. Crossroads test the truth of your faith. It is easy to believe when nothing is required. It is simple to sing when there is no cost. But when obedience calls for sacrifice, your heart is revealed. What you choose in these moments writes your story far louder than any words you speak. As the prophet Jeremiah wrote in chapter 6, verse 16, "Stand at the crossroads and look, ask for the ancient paths. Ask where the good way is, and walk in it, and you will find rest for your souls." Notice the order: stand, look, ask, walk. You cannot run blindly. You must pause to see, to discern, to seek the good way, and then step into it with resolve. The danger at a crossroads is hesitation. If you linger too long, The weight of indecision becomes its own prison. The world around you moves forward, but you remain stuck in cycles of endless wandering. Indecision drains strength more than failure ever could. Failure teaches. Indecision paralysis. Imagine a traveler standing before two diverging paths. He holds his bags tightly, eyes shifting from one road to the other. Heures pass, then days, then weeks. He never steps forward, and soon his strength fades. His supplies run out, and the opportunity slips away. That is the tragedy of remaining at a crossroads too long. You risk losing the moment entirely. But when you step, something shifts. Even if your knees shake, even if your vision is blurred. Heaven honors movement. God does not expect you to know every detail. He expects you to trust His voice. Each obedient step becomes a stone in the path He lays beneath your feet. You may not see the entire road, but you will never be abandoned on it. There is also a hidden truth here. The enemy fears your crossroads. He knows that once you choose obedience, you become unstoppable. That is why he fills your mind with confusion, whispers of fear, and illusions of comfort. He would rather see you linger forever at the intersection than watch you step into destiny. Because once you move, he loses ground. This is why your decision carries weight, not only for you, but for those connected to you. At the crossroads, you are not only deciding your future, you are deciding the future of those who will be touched by your obedience. Abraham's yes opened a covenant for generations. Ruth's yes placed her in the lineage of the Messiah. Your yes will ripple through lives you may never meet. Think of the crossroads as a threshold between chapters. On one side, the old story still lingers, with its familiar patterns and unfinished lessons. On the other side, a new chapter waits, unwritten but full of promise. The pen is in your hand, but heaven is ready to guide it. The question is not whether the next chapter exists, it is whether you will step through and begin writing it. Do not despise the weight you feel in this moment. It is not there to crush you, it is there to awaken you. It is heaven's reminder that you were never meant to drift. You were meant to choose, to rise, to move forward with conviction. Chosen one. Understand this clearly. The crossroads is not a curse. It is a gift. It is the place where God reveals His nearness most profoundly. At the crossroads, His voice becomes clearer, His presence stronger, His guidance unmistakable. The very tension you feel is evidence of His hand upon you. So, do not be afraid of the unknown road. Fear the familiar one that keeps you bound. Do not cling to what feels safe if it keeps you from what is sacred. Your destiny is not behind you. It waits on the other side of obedience. You may not realize it, but your obedience strikes terror into the heart of the enemy. Hell is not shaken by those who merely know truth. It trembles at those who walk in it. Darkness is not intimidated by knowledge, but it fears surrender, because surrender unlocks authority. When you whisper, yes, the enemy hears it as thunder. Your presence, chosen one, is disruptive. You have carried light through seasons when you felt nothing but heaviness. You have stood when others assumed you would fall. You have kept walking, even with trembling steps. And every step has been like a crack of lightning across the enemy's sky. Think about it. The adversary invested resources to break you. He sent storms, distractions, betrayals, and loneliness, hoping one of them would silence you. But you are still here. That fact alone makes hell nervous. Because every time you refuse to quit, you prove the blood of Christ is stronger than the chains of the pit. The apostle reminds us in his letter to the Romans, chapter 8, verse 37, "In all these things we are more than conquerors through him who loved us." Not just conquerors, more than conquerors. Hell does not know how to handle someone who walks in that truth. A conqueror defeats, but one who is more than a conqueror does not merely fight battles. They carry an atmosphere that changes the entire war. Picture a soldier stepping onto the battlefield. Before he even raises his weapon, the enemy begins to scatter, because they know the outcome is already decided. That is who you are becoming. Your yes clothes you in authority, so heavy that darkness cannot stand in your presence. This is why the enemy tries so hard to keep you distracted. He is terrified of what happens when you live fully awake. A chosen one who knows their authority becomes a nightmare to hell. You may not see yourself that way, but the enemy does. To him, your prayer is fire. Your worship is a weapon. Your obedience is an earthquake. Do you remember the story of Paul and Silas in prison? They were beaten, chained, and surrounded by guards. The enemy must have thought their light had been extinguished. But at midnight, they began to sing. Their worship rose like fire, and suddenly the foundations of the prison shook. Doors flew open, and chains fell off, not only theirs, but everyone else's too. That is the power you carry. When you refuse to be silenced, not only are you set free, but others around you taste freedom as well. Hell does not fear your weakness, it fears your perseverance. It knows you may stumble, but as long as you rise again, its plan fails. The adversary counts on you giving up, because he cannot stop you. Once you keep moving forward, think of yourself as a lighthouse standing against stormy seas. Waves crash, winds howl, lightning flashes, yet the light keeps shining. Ships lost in darkness may not know your name, but they see your glow, and that glow becomes their guide. That is why the storms keep coming against you, not because you are weak, but because your light exposes what darkness longs to keep hidden. You may have wondered why your battles feel more intense than others around you. It is not because you are cursed, it is because you are dangerous. The enemy attacks what he fears most, and what he fears in you is the obedience that unleashes heaven's power. Chosen one, never forget, you were designed to terrify darkness. Your light is not fragile. It is not fading. It is fueled by the very Spirit that raised Christ from the dead. That Spirit does not waver. That Spirit does not bow. That Spirit roars within you. So let this truth settle deeply. The enemy's attacks are confirmation of your assignment. His fear of you is proof of your authority. His resistance is the shadow that reveals the brilliance of your light. You are not merely surviving, you are unsettling the kingdom of darkness every time you refuse to back down. Stand tall in that reality. You are more than a conqueror, and the very obedience you are stepping into will shake the foundations of hell itself. Your story is not just survival, it is prophecy in motion. Every scar becomes a banner of victory. Every tear a seed of strength. The enemy already knows he cannot rewrite what heaven has sealed. Your yes is the sound of chains breaking, and your walk forward is proof that darkness has lost. There is something holy hidden inside you, light that cannot be extinguished. You may not always feel it, but it is there. It has carried you through valleys, storms, and nights so dark You thought you would not survive. Yet you did survive. Not only that, you still shine. This inner light is not ordinary. It is not human determination or stubborn willpower. It is divine. It comes from the Spirit of God dwelling within you. A flame that darkness cannot comprehend. When you said yes to God, even in your weakness, that yes became a lamp lit from heaven, and no storm has been able to put it out. The Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 5 declares, "The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it." That is not just a general truth, it is a personal one. It means your light, your very presence, shifts the atmosphere around you. Think of how people sometimes react when you walk into a room without saying a word. You change the space. Some feel peace near you, though they cannot explain why. Others feel unsettled, because your light exposes what they have tried to hide. You carry a presence stronger than you realize. That is why the enemy has tried so hard to convince you that you are insignificant. He wants you to believe you are just another face in the crowd. But chosen ones are never hidden forever. Lamps are not built to stay under baskets. Sooner or later, the flame demands to be seen. Your life is like a lantern carried through a forest at night. At first, it only lights the next few steps. But as you keep walking, others begin to notice. They gather near. Not because you asked them to, but because light always draws the weary. Your yes, your endurance, your faith, it all creates a glow that guides others out of their own shadows. But hear me, light always costs something. Oil must be poured. Wicks must be trimmed. There are nights when your glow feels dim, when you wonder if the fire is worth it. Yet, every time you choose to keep burning, heaven sees it. And that steady flame, even in weakness, terrifies hell. Remember Paul's words, "We have this treasure in jars of clay," to show that this all-surpassing power is from God and not from us. You may feel fragile, like clay easily cracked, but the treasure inside you is indestructible. Your weakness only proves that the light is His, not yours, and that makes it unstoppable. So let me give you a prophetic act to mark this moment. Go to the comments and type these 3 words, "Shine through me." Do not write them casually. Write them as a declaration that your light will no longer be hidden. Write them as agreement with heaven that the flame inside you will burn brighter than the shadows trying to silence it. Why this phrase? Because it is surrender. It is saying, "God, use my life as a lamp, even when I feel small." It is saying, "Let my scars glow with hope so others know they are not alone." It is saying, "I will not hide anymore." When you declare, "Shine through me," you are giving the Spirit full permission to use your light as a weapon against the darkness around you. And make no mistake, your light is a weapon. Every time you forgive when bitterness calls, you shine. Every time you worship through tears, you shine. Every time you choose truth over compromise, you shine. These are not small acts. They are warfare. Chosen one. Embrace this truth. Your light is not fragile, and it will not fade. The darker the night becomes, the brighter you are meant to burn. And your decision today to let it shine fully marks the beginning of a new season. Light does not argue with darkness. It simply shines. It does not need to explain itself. It reveals by existing That is what your life is becoming, revelation. People may not understand you, but they cannot deny the glow you carry. Some will resist it, because it uncovers what they want hidden. Others will be drawn to it, because they have been searching for hope. Do not underestimate the power of one flame. History shows us that entire movements began with one light passed to another. What you carry is contagious. Your glow can spread, reaching hearts you never meet, igniting courage in places you will never see. Your light is not just survival, it is destiny, and every yes you whisper adds oil to the flame. In heaven's war room, strategies are written, angels are assembled, and the atmosphere hums with expectancy. You may not see it with your eyes, but armies stand in readiness. They are not waiting for their orders from one another, they are waiting for the sound of your obedience. Every chosen one is a commander without realizing it. When you align with God's will, your yes becomes the signal that sets heaven's armies in motion. A simple whisper of surrender carries more power than the shouts of nations. You were never ordinary. You were always meant to shift battles in the unseen. Picture this: a general stands in a war tent, maps stretched out before him, soldiers lining the edges, awaiting the call. The moment he lifts his hand, the army surges forward. That is you, in the spirit. You may not feel like a general, but when your will bows to God's, angels move like rivers of fire. We are reminded in the book of Psalms, chapter 34, verse 7, the angel of the Lord encamps around those who fear him, and he delivers them. Encamps, do you see it? Not a passing visit, but a surrounding presence. Heaven has built a fortress around you, waiting for your agreement to release what has already been prepared. But let me pause to speak from the heart. If this word has touched you, if it has stirred something deep inside, then I invite you to carry it forward. This is more than listening, this is partnership. And partnership can take many shapes, each one beautiful in its own way. When you like this message, it is like striking a drum in the distance. The sound carries further than you know, reaching ears you may never meet, shaking hearts that thought they were alone. When you share, it is like passing a torch in a relay. The flame does not dim in your hands. Instead, it doubles its reach. Another soul takes hold of it, and suddenly the night is less overwhelming. When you subscribe, it is like planting your roots deeper into soil that nourishes. It is a way of saying, I want to stay near the river of life, to keep drawing from its flow. Subscribing is not a habit, it is a declaration that you will remain connected to the stream of words that keep your spirit strong. And if your heart feels stirred, you can also donate. Think of it as adding a drop of oil to the lamp, so the flame can keep burning through the night. It's not about the size of the gift, it's about the love behind it. And even if you never give, the light will still shine for you, because God's word is free and always will be. Now return to the war room in your mind. See the angels again, lined in rows, wings glimmering, swords ablaze. The maps are marked, the strategies complete, but their eyes look to you. The moment you agree, the moment you say yes in word and deed, they surge forward. Heaven's armies are not moved by noise, they are moved by obedience. And obedience is never silent. It echoes, it ripples, it draws others near. Even a small act, pressing like sharing with a friend, subscribing to remain close. donating oil for the flame. These are not just digital gestures. They are prophetic echoes in the spiritual realm, confirming your agreement with the mission of heaven. Chosen one, you stand in the war room. The angels are ready. The question is no longer whether God has called you, it is whether you will align with his call and let your life become the trumpet that releases heaven's hosts into battle. You may feel small, you may feel unseen, but the sound of a trumpet does not depend on its size, it depends on the breath that fills it. And the breath of God is within you. Every yes you whisper is like wind moving through that trumpet. The sound carries across realms. It awakens the weary. It shakes strongholds. It pierces the silence of despair. Do not underestimate what your surrender sets in motion. One act of obedience can open rivers in the desert. One moment of trust can reroute entire generations. One choice made in trembling faith can echo louder than 1,000 empty declarations. The war room is not a distant vision. It is here. Now, heaven is leaning close. Earth is waiting. Angels are watching. And you are the one holding the trumpet. Lift it. Breathe. Let the sound go forth. Your voice is not ordinary. It carries weight in ways you may not yet understand. Every word that leaves your mouth has the power to build or to break, to open or to close, to bless or to curse. This is why Scripture says that life and death are in the power of the tongue. The world may dismiss words as noise, but heaven does not. Heaven treats your words as keys. Think of a key in your hand. It may look small, almost insignificant, yet it unlocks doors larger and heavier than you could ever push open on your own. That is what your yes does. It is the key that opens doors no man can shut. Without it, you could stand before a destiny-filled doorway and never step inside. With it, even gates of iron swing wide. It is written in the book of Isaiah, chapter 22, verse 22. What he opens, no one can shut, and what he shuts, no one can open. This truth is not abstract. It means that your obedience unlocks realities that remain sealed to others. It means that heaven's authority moves through your surrender. There is a story in the New Testament about Peter in prison. He was chained, guarded by soldiers, locked behind gates, to every eye. Escape was impossible, yet in the night, an angel appeared, touched his chains, and led him out. The iron gate of the city swung open by itself. Do you see it? What seemed immovable obeyed the presence of God, and Peter's yes to follow the angel, step by trembling step, brought him into freedom. That same authority is at work in your life. There are gates around you that look unmovable, gates of fear, gates of lack, gates of past failure, but they cannot resist heaven's command. They only wait for your agreement. When you say yes, you align with the power that makes the impossible bow. Imagine standing in front of a massive vault door. Its steel surface is cold, intimidating, impossible to push. You press your shoulder against it, but it does not budge. Yet in your pocket is a key no one else can use. That key is your yes. The moment you place it in the lock, the gears begin to turn. The weight begins to shift, and the door opens without resistance. The effort was never meant to be yours. Your part was only to agree. This is why silence is dangerous. Silence can be agreement with fear. Silence can be surrender to despair. But when you lift your voice, whether in prayer, in praise. In declaration, you place your key in the lock. The sound of your voice in alignment with heaven opens doors both in the spirit and in the natural. Consider Joshua and the walls of Jericho. Those walls were not conquered by military might. They were not torn down by human hands. They fell at the sound of obedience, voices lifted, trumpets blown, a shout released. The key was not their strength. It was their alignment with God's command. Your life carries that same authority. You may ask, but what if my voice feels weak? Do not despise a whisper of faith. Even the faintest yes can shake foundations. Remember Elijah on Mount Horeb. God was not in the wind, not in the earthquake, not in the fire, but in the gentle whisper. That whisper carried more authority than the storm. Your voice, when surrendered, becomes a vessel of heaven's decree. It speaks not only to your own life, but to the lives of others. When you declare truth, you open doors for those who are listening. When you intercede, you place keys in locks on behalf of people who do not yet know how to unlock them for themselves. Chosen one. This is why the battle for your voice has been so fierce. The enemy has tried to silence you, to drown you in shame, to convince you your words do not matter, but they do matter. In fact, they carry the authority of heaven when aligned with His will. So guard your words carefully. Let them be filled with faith. Even when fear presses in, let them carry life. Even when death surrounds you, your yes spoken aloud is more than sound. It is the opening of gates, the shifting of atmospheres, the breaking of chains. Do not underestimate the authority within you. You hold keys. You are entrusted with doors, and heaven is ready to back every word of obedience you release. There is something sacred about obedience. When you say yes, it is not only a momentary decision, it is a seal. Heaven marks you. Angels recognize it. Darkness fears it. That seal becomes both protection and identity. The scriptures describe moments where God placed His mark upon His people, setting them apart from those around them. It was never about outward appearance. It was always about covenant. The mark said, "This one belongs to me. This one is under my covering." And as it is revealed in the book of Ephesians, chapter 1, verse 13, when you believed, you were marked in Him with a seal, the promised Holy Spirit. Do you see it? The Spirit Himself is the seal. He is the proof that your life is no longer ordinary, that heaven's signature rests upon you. Your obedience renews that seal every time you surrender again. The covering strengthens, the hedge grows taller, the light around you burns brighter. The seal does not mean storms will not come, but it means they cannot destroy you. It does not mean battles will not rage, but it means victory is certain. Think of wax pressed with a king's signet ring. The moment the imprint touches the surface, the letter is secured. Unalterable, undeniable. No one can break the seal without facing the authority behind it. That is your life in the Spirit. When you said yes, God pressed His signet upon you. Every force that tries to tamper with you must face Him first. You may have felt unprotected, as though you were vulnerable to every attack. But the truth is different. You are sealed. You are covered. The Spirit Himself stands as witness that your destiny cannot be stolen, only delayed if you waver. And so the challenge remains. Will you walk as one who knows you are sealed, or as one who still doubts your place? The seal is invisible to the natural eye, but in the spiritual realm it shines like fire. Angels see it and draw near. Demons see it and retreat. Heaven sees it and records it. Imagine a soldier on the battlefield. His armor bears the crest of his king, even in the chaos. Allies know who he belongs to. Enemies know who they are opposing. And the king knows whom he has sent. That is you. Your obedience makes the crest visible, and your seal announces that you are not alone. But this is not just for your comfort, it is also for your responsibility. To be sealed is to be set apart. To be marked is to be sent. Your yes has placed you in the ranks of those who will not only stand, but also carry light into places of shadow. I want you to mark this moment, not with silence, but with a prophetic sign. Go to the comments and write this number, 333. Do not see it as digits alone. See it as covenant. In the language of the Spirit, 3 represents divine fullness, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Writing 333 is your declaration that you walk under the complete covering of God's presence, grace, and power. Why does this matter? Because your outward act seals your inward decision, just as a signet pressed into wax confirms what is written. Your number pressed into the comments confirms your yes. It is not ritual, it is testimony. You are saying, I am sealed, I am covered, I am walking in the fullness of the Trinity. And heaven responds to such declarations. Angels take note. Darkness trembles. The seal upon your life glows brighter. So never doubt again. You are not wandering uncovered. You are not moving unmarked. Your obedience has placed a seal upon you. And that seal will carry you through every storm until the day your assignment is complete. A seal is not decoration. It is protection. It is identity. It is authority. When a king placed his mark on a decree, no one dared to question it. The power behind the seal was greater than the paper it marked. The same is true for you. Your life may feel fragile, like parchment in the wind, but the seal of the Spirit makes it unshakable. This is why storms have not consumed you. This is why attacks have failed. This is why, even when you stumbled, you rose again, because the seal was stronger than your weakness. Chosen one. Walk boldly. Do not bow to the lie that you are ordinary. You carry heaven's signature. And where his signature is seen, his presence always follows. There are mantles in heaven that have been carried through generations, passed from one chosen one to another. These mantles are not pieces of fabric. They are coverings of authority, assignments of fire, responsibilities that carry both weight and glory. When a mantle rests on you, it is a sign that you are no longer only living for yourself, you are bearing light for others. The scriptures remind us of this truth through the story of Elijah and Elisha. Elijah, the prophet of fire, carried a mantle that symbolized his calling. When his time came to depart, he did not take the mantle with him into heaven. He released it, and Elisha picked it up. From that moment forward, Elisha did not simply walk in his own strength. He carried double the anointing because he bore the mantle. That is what happens when heaven entrusts you with light. It multiplies what you can carry. As the second book of Kings records, chapter 2, verse 13. Elisha then picked up Elijah's cloak that had fallen from him and went back and stood on the bank of the Jordan. That cloak was more than cloth, it was a transfer of calling. And Elisha, holding it in trembling hands, realized his life had changed forever. Your life is no different. The mantle placed upon you is not about fame or recognition. It is about responsibility. It means that your presence in dark places becomes light for those who cannot yet see. It means that your obedience turns into guidance for those who are wandering. It means that your scars, instead of being hidden, become torches for others to follow. Imagine walking into a cavern where hundreds sit in shadows. They cannot see the exit, though it is only steps away. You carry a torch. The moment you lift it, the atmosphere shifts, not because you shout, not because you force, but because light cannot be ignored. One by one, eyes lift. One by one, feet begin to move. That is what your mantle does. It carries light into places where despair had reigned. But mantles also cost something. Elisha followed Elijah through dry places, through testing, through the mockery of others. He stayed close when others walked away. That endurance prepared him to receive, likewise, your waiting, your perseverance. Your hidden seasons have not been wasted. They were training grounds. They prepared your shoulders to bear the mantle, now resting upon you. Perhaps you have felt the weight of responsibility press harder than you expected. You thought the call would bring ease, but instead, it has brought fire. Do not despise the fire. It proves the mantle is real. Fire consumes what is false and strengthens what is true. The mantle is not meant to crush you, but it does stretch you. It teaches you to lean, not on your strength, but on the Spirit who empowers. Think also of the disciples. Jesus called them to carry his light after his ascension. They were ordinary men, fishermen, tax collectors, doubters, yet he clothed them with power from on high. That clothing was their mantle. They turned the world upside down, not because they were great, but because the mantle resting on them was greater than the darkness surrounding them. You too carry such a mantle. It may not look spectacular to the world. It may not be celebrated on platforms or praised by crowds, but in the spiritual realm, it burns bright. It declares, this one is marked. This one carries light. This one bears responsibility for more than themselves. Do not shrink from it. Do not hide it. The mantle is not meant to remain folded away. It is meant to be worn, displayed, and lived. Each act of obedience, each word of truth, each step into places where others fear to go, all of it is you carrying the torch into caverns, the cloak into valleys, the mantle into the world. Chosen one. Let the mantle remind you that your life has purpose beyond yourself. The nights you endured, the tears you shed, the struggles you overcame, they were not wasted. They became threads in the mantle you now wear. And as you step forward, carrying light into deep darkness, heaven walks with you. Every mantle carries a story. Every thread holds memory. Yours is woven with prayers whispered in silence, with nights where you chose faith over despair, with mornings where you rose again, though weary. Do not take it lightly. Wear it with reverence. Carry it with courage, because when your mantle moves, it brushes others with hope, and their fires ignite from yours. There is a crown prepared for those who remain faithful, not the kind of crown made by human hands, fragile metal, fadingjevels, symbols of fleeting kingdoms. This crown is eternal, forged in glory. untouched by decay, and placed only upon the heads of those who endured. The scriptures speak of crowns often, crowns of life, crowns of righteousness, crowns of glory. Each represents not merely reward, but recognition. They declare before heaven and earth that this life was lived with obedience, that faith did not collapse under pressure, that love did not fade in trial. We find in the first letter of Peter, chapter 5, verse 4, "And when the chief shepherd appears, you will receive the crown of glory that will never fade away." This is not a poetic image. It is a promise. The crown is not symbolic, only it is a reality waiting in heaven's storehouse. Yet notice how the crown is given, not at the beginning, not in the middle, but at the end. Crowns are not for those who merely start well. They are for those who finish. A race is not won by the first step, but by the final stride. Faith, in the same way, demands endurance. Your trials, though painful, are not evidence of abandonment. They are evidence that a crown is being formed. Each time you refuse to surrender to despair, another jewel is set. Each time you obey, when obedience costs you everything, another strand of gold is woven. Each act of trust is another gleam in the diadem that will one day rest upon your head. Imagine a craftsman carefully shaping a crown. He bends the metal, polishes the surface, sets stones with precision. At times the process looks violent: fire, hammer, pressure. But the craftsman never loses sight of the final design. So it is with your life. What felt like fire was shaping. What sounded like hammer blows was preparation. What pressed upon you was forming something eternal. Crowns are also identifiers. They tell others who you are. In ancient days, a crown was not merely jewelry, it was authority. It declared, "This one rules. This one leads. This one carries responsibility." The crown of glory declares to all of heaven, "This one endured. This one held the line. This one carried the torch until the end." Perhaps you have felt invisible, unrecognized for the battles you fought. Few knew the weight you carried, and fewer still applauded your faithfulness. Yet heaven saw. Every unseen act was recorded. Every private prayer was noted. Every hidden yes was treasured. And in the end, the crown will reveal what others never saw, that your life bore witness to something greater than applause. The beauty of the crown of glory is not only its permanence, but its reflection. When placed upon your head, it shines not only with your story, but with God's. It reflects His faithfulness as much as your endurance. It declares that the shepherd never abandoned his sheep, that His grace was enough, that His power was made perfect in weakness. Think of Paul at the end of his life, writing from prison. Knowing his time was short, he said, "I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith." And then he spoke of the crown of righteousness laid up for him. He did not speak of regret for what he lost. He spoke of anticipation for what awaited. That is the posture of one who knows the value of the eternal crown. Do not be deceived by earthly crowns. They glitter for a moment, but they fade. The applause of men dies quickly. The wealth of nations crumbles. The monuments of empires turn to dust. But the crown of glory, once placed upon your head, will never fade. It will shine for eternity. A testament that you lived and endured as one of God's chosen. So let your hope be anchored there. Let your endurance be fueled by what is promised. You are not running aimlessly. You are not suffering pointlessly. You are pressing forward toward a crown that cannot be taken from you, and on the day it is placed upon your head, all of heaven will rise in recognition, and you will know the fire was worth it. The trials were not in vain. The journey was not wasted, for the crown of glory will rest, and it will never fade. And when that crown is placed upon you, it will not only honor your endurance, it will tell the story of every battle overcome. It will shine with heaven's light, and every tear you cried will be remembered as diamonds in its setting. There are moments when a message is not simply meant to be heard, it is meant to be carried. Words like these are seeds. They are placed in your hands, not to remain hidden, but to be sown into the soil of other lives. What you do with them determines whether they remain a whisper in your memory or become a harvest in the world. As Jesus declared in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 13, verse 8, still other seed fell on good soil, where it produced a crop, 60 or 30 times what was sown. That is what this word is, seed. And you are the soil that chooses whether to let it grow. Think of a field at sunrise. The farmer does not scatter his seed to keep it in one corner. He casts it wide, trusting that the wind will carry some farther than he could ever reach. That is what happens when you share. You are the wind that carries the seed into other fields, where hearts are waiting, where soil has been softened by tears you will never see. Sharing is not obligation, it is scattering hope. And when you like this word, it is not a shallow click. It is as if you are watering the seed, a small act. Yes, but water awakens what is dormant. The soil drinks it in, and suddenly life begins to stir beneath the surface. Your like is a drop of rain that tells heaven, this seed matters to me. Let it grow. On when you subscribe. It is not routine. It is like returning to the well. You do not visit once and declare yourself satisfied. You return again and again, because the water refreshes you. Subscribing is choosing to remain close to the wellspring, to draw from it whenever your spirit grows thirsty. It is saying, I will stay connected to the stream that sustains me. Oh, and then there is giving, your choice to donate. Hear this clearly. It is never demanded. Think of it not as a toll, but as planting back into the field that fed you. When you give, it is like placing a log on a fire so it does not die in the night. It is like pouring a little oil into the lamp so the flame keeps burning for others still lost on the road. Your gift says, I want this light to shine not only for me but for every traveler stumbling through the dark. But even if you never give, the light remains. The word is free because grace was given freely. Your presence here is already a gift. Your listening already an offering. Giving is simply another way of saying yes. Yes to keeping the flame alive. Yes to passing the torch. Yes to joining the work of heaven in a tangible way. I invite you also to mark this moment with words of your own. Write in the comments a short prayer, a cry of the heart, a declaration that reflects what stirred within you. Your words may be the key for someone else who scrolls past, unsure, weary, searching for a sign. Comments are not noise, they are echoes. They are the testimony that others will stumble upon and realize they are not alone. Picture a campfire surrounded by travelers, one by one. They toss twigs, branches, logs onto the flames. Each contribution makes the fire brighter, warmer, stronger. No one is forced. No one is measured. Each gives what they have. And together, the fire becomes something that holds back the night. That is what happens when you like, when you share, when you subscribe, when you give. You are tossing your part into the fire, keeping it alive for the weary who will come after you. And beyond the actions, remember this: the greatest gift you bring is your yes. Every response, silent or loud, small or large, is an extension of that yes. You are saying, I will not hide this seed. I will not let this fire fade. I will walk as one entrusted with light. Do not see this as pressure. See it as invitation, not a demand, but a chance to water the seed, to scatter the harvest, to return to the well, to keep the lamp filled, to sit around the fire with others who also carry the flame. Chosen one. These are not ordinary actions. They are sacred echoes, prophetic gestures that ripple far beyond what you see. Heaven notices. Angels take record. And most importantly, light spreads. So here you stand, holding the seed, standing by the fire, standing at the well. What you do next is not obligation, it is opportunity. And opportunity, when met with yes, always multiplies into glory. There is always a moment before dawn when the night feels heaviest, shadows stretch long, silence deepens, and the air itself seems to hold its breath. Yet that is the moment when light is nearest. Though unseen, the breaking of day often comes just when the night has convinced you it will never end. Your journey has been much like that long night. You have walked through stretches of silence where answers did not come. You have faced valleys where prayers seemed to echo back unanswered. You have endured seasons where the weight of waiting pressed down like endless darkness. And still, you kept walking. Still, you refused to surrender. That perseverance has carried you to the edge of dawn. As written in the book of Hosea, chapter 6, verse 3, as surely as the sun rises, he will appear, he will come to us, like the winter rains, like the spring rains that water the earth. This is not a suggestion, it is a certainty. Just as the sun cannot fail to rise, the presence of God cannot fail to appear. Your dawn is assured. Think of the world at dawn. The first rays slip over the horizon, brushing the earth with light. Shadows retreat. Colors awaken. And what seemed lifeless moments before begins to stir again. Birds break into song. Flowers unfold. The chill of night fades into warmth. That is the picture of your life right now. The season of silence is giving way to the sound of life. The breaking of dawn is not sudden chaos, it is steady unveiling. Little by little, the sky changes until it is impossible to deny. Likewise, your season of breakthrough is not only about one dramatic moment, it is about the steady unfolding of what heaven has been preparing all along. Even now, signs of light are already breaking through. You may not see the full sun yet, but you feel the shift. The heaviness you carried is beginning to lift. The questions that once pressed so loud are softening. The sense of abandonment is giving way to an awareness that you were never alone. The dawn is here, even if you only see the edge of its light. Consider how farmers watch the sky at daybreak. They know the crops will grow, the animals will stir, the day's labor will begin. Dawn is their signal to rise and move forward. So it is with you. This dawn signals a new season, not of waiting endlessly, but of walking boldly into what has been promised. Your faithfulness in the night has prepared you for the light. Those who gave up in the darkness will not understand the strength you carry now, but those who endured, those who kept their lamps burning, will rise with you in this new day. Imagine yourself standing on a mountain ridge, watching the horizon blush with color. The night behind you is real, but it is over. Ahead of you lies a world illuminated by new possibility. That image belongs to you. You are not merely surviving the night, you are stepping into the promise of dawn. Chosen one, remember this. The darkest nights often precede the brightest mornings. The weight of your waiting was not a curse, it was the womb of new life. Out of that hidden place comes strength, vision, and clarity you did not know you carried. The dawn does not erase your night, it redeems it. So take heart. Do not fear the last grip of shadow, for it is fading even now. The new day has begun, and with it, a season of promise unfolds, fresh strength, renewed vision, unshakable joy. The breaking dawn is not coming someday, it is here. The night was your teacher, the dawn is your reward. Every unanswered prayer in the silence has become seed in the soil of your soul. With the light rising, those seeds will break forth. Hope that seemed buried will push through. Joy that felt lost will bloom again. Do not despise the scars you carry from the night. They are not marks of defeat, but reminders of survival. They are proof that even in the silence, you were held. When others gave up, you endured. When others let go, you clung to the promise. And now, the dawn is your inheritance. Picture the first light touching a valley covered in frost. The ice begins to melt, streams begin to run, and life hidden beneath the surface bursts free. That is your heart right now. The light is melting the frost of fear. The rivers of strength are flowing again, and the life within you is waking up. Chosen one, step into the dawn. Lift your eyes. Stretch your spirit. The day has begun, and it will not end in darkness. Every story must one day reach its fulfillment. Every journey, however winding, eventually arrives at the place for which it was destined. Your path has not been random, and your struggles have not been wasted. Every season of waiting, every night of tears, every battle you endured has been weaving together a conclusion far more beautiful than you can yet see. The final assignment is not about proving yourself. It is about revealing who you always were in the eyes of God. You are not finishing as one barely crawling across the line, but as one who carries the authority of heaven upon their shoulders. The very weight you once thought would crush you has become your strength, and the very scars you feared would disqualify, you have become the testimony that crowns your head with glory. As the Apostle Paul declared in the second letter to Timothy, chapter 4, verse 8, "Now there is in store for me the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will award to me on that day, and not only to me, but also to all who have longed for his appearing." This is the promise that steadies you as you close one chapter and prepare to step into eternity's pages. Think of a runner reaching the end of a marathon. Muskelzach, lungspurn, sweat pause. But when the finish line comes into view, something deeper rises within. The pain does not vanish, but the joy of completion outweighs it. The sound of the crowd, the sight of the goal, The knowledge of finishing well ignites strength for the final steps. That is where you stand now. The final assignment is not an ending, but a crossing. Like Israel stepping through the Jordan into their promised land, you are leaving behind, wandering for inheritance. The wilderness tested you, but it did not define you. The promised place is not a rumor, it is a reality waiting for your footsteps. Imagine standing on a mountaintop after years of climbing. The air is thin, the path behind is rough, but the view before you stretches further than your eyes can take in. Valleys, rivers, and horizons unfold in beauty that makes the climb worth every step. That is the perspective of the chosen who finish their assignment. They see not only where they have been, but also the glory of what lies ahead. Do not believe the lie that your journey was wasted. Every detour taught you endurance. Every delay refined your character. Every heartbreak expanded your capacity for love. Every battle revealed that you were not fighting alone. Heaven's fingerprints are all over your story, even in the places you thought were abandoned. Chosen one, the final assignment is about legacy. It is not only about what you accomplish, but about what continues after you. Just as Elijah left a mantle for Elisha, just as Paul left letters that still strengthen believers, your obedience leaves ripples that will outlast your breath. You are not simply finishing, you are releasing. What you carried will not end with you. It will ignite others who rise after you. And so the weight of this moment is both solemn and radiant. It is solemn because the responsibility is great. It is radiant because the glory outweighs the burden. The heavens are not silent now. They lean close, watching, waiting, celebrating each step you take. Angels, who once stood by in readiness, now surround in witness. The final assignment demands only one thing: your continued yes. Not a perfect yes, not a flawless yes, but a willing one. The same yes that carried you from the beginning will carry you through the end. And when the scroll of your life is unrolled in eternity, it will not be judged by how loud your victories sounded, but by how faithful your obedience remained. So stand tall, lift your eyes. The finish line is not far, and the crown of righteousness gleams ahead. You are not finishing as one forgotten, but as one remembered in heaven's courts. You are not crossing alone, but with the chief shepherd walking beside you. And when the day arrives, your assignment complete, heaven will place the crown upon your head, and eternity will echo with the truth. You were chosen, you endured, and you finished well. And in that moment, every unanswered question will be silenced by glory. Every wound will be healed in light. Every tear will be remembered, not as sorrow, but as jewels upon your crown. The journey will make sense, because you will see it through heaven's eyes. And so the scroll closes, not in silence, but in triumph. You have walked through fire, endured the night, faced the valley, and carried the mantle. You have stood as one chosen, tested, and crowned. This message was not accident, it was appointment. And if you are here at the final word, it is because heaven wanted you to know you were never forgotten. But before you leave, let this be more than something you heard once. Carry it, scatter it. Allow the seeds of this word to fall into other lives. When you share, it is like casting light into another valley, where someone else waits for a spark. When you like, it is like striking a bell, sending out a sound that echoes farther than you imagine. When you subscribe, it is like drawing closer to a fire that will not go out, choosing to remain near warmth instead of walking back into the cold. And if your heart feels moved to donate, let it be like pouring fresh oil into the lamp so the flame never flickers, not because you must, but because you delight in seeing the light shine for those still searching. I invite you to leave a comment, not just words, but a piece of your heart, a prayer, a declaration, a whisper of hope. Your testimony may be the echo that reminds someone else that they are not alone. Chosen one. These small acts are not obligation, they are participation. They are how you join the great symphony of heaven's story, one like, one share, one word, one gift at a time. And together, the light keeps burning. The assignment has been given. The message has been sown. Now, walk as one who is chosen, and let the world see the flame in you.